This is dedicated to all of you, as well as myself, and all the people that we know that lost loved ones, and friends, and family from this dread disease, from misinformation, lack of information, but mostly fear. Today we clean it up. Where indeed it all began, no one really knows for sure. Some say in deep dark Africa, others a secret lab in Baltimore. But wheresoe'er its origin, strict attention must be paid to acquired immune deficiency syndrome, the invisible assassin called AIDS. Since human immunodeficiency virus is hard to pronounce, you see, they've broken it down so we can understand, so they call it HIV. HIV is the virus that causes AIDS and is stealthy as a thief in the night. It enters your bloodstream, makes its home your T cells, so infections they cannot fight. Now sometimes this destruction is hurried, yet still there's a far greater fear. Depending on the person, HIV can hide for years. You see, HIV is tricky. HIV is sly. And while it makes its home your T cells, it continually multiplies. This virus is so cunning. Outside, no symptoms shown. But on the inside, it eats these cells until your immune system is entirely gone. Then there's AIDS-related complex, abbreviated, they call it ARC. Sweats and fevers, swollen glands, and this is only the start. And come its final stages, cancers and viruses begin to parade. And most times it's the beginning of an agonizing end, because this is full-blown AIDS. Kaposi sarcoma is one of the cancers, and when it settles in, it leaves its signature of purple blotches and lesions that cover the skin. It's time to reach out and teach each other, educate like in no other fashion, because only our knowledge can be the bulletproof vest that'll stop AIDS, the invisible assassin. So now when and if you contract this virus, health conscious you've got to be, because every germ becomes your enemy, especially in pneumonia called PCP. If world over we are not careful, by the late 2000s we're going to see more mothers and fathers die from risky behavior. More than 10 million orphans there's certain to be. The only way to halt this plague is to pledge our dedication to spread the truth, dispel the myths, and share AIDS education. Now I know some of you say you'll never get it, and I can only hope you won't. But we can show God's love and love our neighbors by sharing the simple do's and don'ts. We cannot catch AIDS from a simple handshake or when we kiss to show affection. And in many cases, unlike popular belief, it's transferred by a heterosexual connection. Yet whether heterosexual or otherwise, listen closely to my text. The lover you love is always a personal choice, but beware of unprotected sex. Beware of your multiple sexual partners, and if you're not sure who has this infection, better to be safe than be sorry, because it only takes one time, and the assassin makes you a passion, no exception. HIV can never pass simply by sharing hugs, but sharing dirty needles, a definite no-no. So don't use IV drugs. You cannot get it from another's sweat or when an infected person comes near. You cannot get it from a toilet seat, and it's not transferred through tears. These are some of the fallacies, and our ignorance is kind of tragic. Remember, it's the disease that's the enemy, not he or she who has it. Remember how self-righteous we were about magic? In research every day, we break new ground. There's only one thing that's for sure. In the beginning, such drugs as AZT, DDI, then protease inhibitors, now the cocktails slow the virus down. But outside of God or abstinence, there is no cure. So now great men have to weigh their conscience. And it's a time for real reflection. If we discover a cure with money or not, do we treat the rich and poor with no exception? With war, test tubes, a person's right to choose. Sometimes it seems like we can't catch our breath. We need to see that the greatest profit is the kingdom of heaven, and only God reserves the power of life or death. So from the Glazers to the Magics, from the White House to our house, we need to see this as everyone's fight. We need to take up a stand, every woman, every man, and show the courage of Arthur Ashe and of young Ryan White. So let's fight back. Let's all join together. No longer passive can we afford to be. And the 5 deadly words the assassin loves most is when he hears, it'll never happen to me. With God's help, yes, we'll find the answer, because of the heavy price we've already paid. So join in, my friends, and believe that this fight we will win. Together we'll slay the invisible assassin. You can't see it, can't hear it, can't smell it, can't taste it, can't touch it. It's the invisible assassin. The invisible assassin. It's the invisible assassin called